registered sex offender shouldn't be allowed on campus around children.
What process did you go through to see whether you had permission to be on campus?
None. I didn't get permission from anybody.
Law enforcement's responsibility is to investigate. If this is it, if that report is all that they did, that's concerning.
A convicted sex offender who violated the terms of his release by volunteering at a high school in Box Elder County will not face any consequences for it. You may remember the suspect, former Tremonton police officer Jeremy Rose, from an interview earlier this year.
Fox 13's news investigative reporter Adam Herbetz broke the story and joins us live with an update. Adam.
Yeah, Dan, April. Investigators spent nearly 4.5 months on this case. According to records obtained by Fox 13, they determined this registered sex offender did break the law, but they chose very early on to not charge him with a crime.
I relive my offense every day. It's something that I regret every day.
When Jeremy Rose walked into the Bear River High School theater, he wanted people to view him as a father, not as a registered sex offender. Parents say they knew he was both.
Yeah, it was a really big story. I mean, everyone in town knew who he was. He was a Tremont City police officer.
In 2014, Rose was caught planting hidden cameras, targeting a high school-aged girl to create his own personal stash of child pornography. So he was convicted. He lost his badge and served less than 9 months behind bars.
People on the registry, they're probably some of the safest people out there just because they're so concerned about covering themselves.
He spoke with Fox 13 in March while under another criminal investigation, accused of breaking this state law. A sex offender may not be in a protected area, such as a school, except when the sex offender must be in a protected area to perform his or her parental responsibilities.
It's really vague on how the law is written, and so you kind of have to make a decision as to what your responsibility is as a parent.
Because Jeremy Rose used to be an officer with Tremonton PD, the agency chose to hand over the case to the Weber County Sheriff's Office. This interview with the deputy chief is also from March.
A lot of times they will ask somebody else to investigate the case just because they don't want to be accused of being too severe or too harsh or being too lenient.
4.5 months later, it turns out Weber County Sheriff's Office did not do much investigating at all. According to a report filed by Detective William Smith, the registry confirmed sex offender parents are not allowed to volunteer on their kids' campus. From there, the detective only interviewed the suspect and took no further action on this case.
Do you put a tattoo on my forehead? Because that's the only way you're going to satisfy everybody.
Prosecutors at the Box Elder County Attorney's Office say they did not charge Rose because they don't think he intentionally broke the law. But according to the detective's report, the county chose not to charge him even before interviewing him. At this time, they were not looking to file charges, but simply wanted Jeremy to understand that doing the volunteer work at the high school was not part of his parental responsibilities.
I can't say I sit and worry about it because I really feel like the right people are going to do the right things.
I know what a great investigation looks like. I know what a very good investigation looks like. I know what good, average, mediocre, poor look like. If this is it, if that report is all that they did, that's concerning. It's definitely mediocre.
Chris Bertram is the former deputy chief of Unified Police Department. He agreed to review the case as a third-party expert.
We need more information. You absolutely need more information because there's simple questions, simple investigative questions that can be asked.
Bertram says interviewing the suspect is a good start, but according to the report, investigators failed to interview parents or interview witnesses. They failed to determine whether Rose was in contact with children, and most importantly, they did not fact-check his statements.
That would just be the minimum, in my opinion. And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for him, Mr. Rose, because we're having another story done about it. If this was a thorough investigation, you as a reporter would just simply say it was investigated and it was cleared. That would be the extent of the story. And then Mr. Rose could go on with his life. It leaves a cloud over the whole situation.
In his interview with Fox 13, Rose said he welcomed a thorough investigation, asking anyone who accused him of being alone with a child to review surveillance video from inside the theater.
Every second I was in there, I was on camera. So if anybody ever tried to bring anything up, there you go.
But Rose also told investigators he spoke with the former Garland police chief before going on campus. Watch and listen as he told Fox 13 a different story.
What process did you go through to see whether you had permission to be on campus?
None. I didn't get permission from anybody.
So here's the thing. I mean, even that interview, coupled with the investigator's interview with him, I'm hearing two different stories now. If he was less than honest with one of those two interviews, law enforcement or you, then the question is why?
When Fox 13 spoke to Chad Soph, the former chief of Garland Police, he said investigators never reached out to him, but he wishes they did some fact-checking. Quote, "I don't remember even talking to Jeremy Rose. I would never give a registered sex offender permission to be on the stage crew of a high school play, being around the same age children that he victimized."
In most cases, Adam, this doesn't get the attention. The public doesn't know. Nobody knows about this.
Jeremy Rose said he did not want to do another interview. He did tell me his conversation with Chief Soph was recorded, but got angry and hung up the phone when I asked if he could send it to me.
If they put me in jail, then they put me in jail, but it's my family that they're going to have to answer to.
In March, the Weber County Sheriff's Office said they may be interested in reviewing Rose's interview with Fox 13, but the report does not show that ever happened. For more than a month now, police and the county attorney's office have ignored multiple requests for comment.
This is an important issue. I always find it disappointing when law enforcement doesn't want to talk. As an investigator, you're seeking the truth. Whether we like it or not, we're seeking the truth.
And Fox 13 investigative reporter Adam Herbets is here with us in studio to go a little more in depth on this story now. So Adam, it looks like the law enforcement community is disappointed with the way the case was handled, but what about the parents?
Yeah, they say the same thing, Dan, that our investigation back in March was more thorough than the police investigation. You can really think of it this way. If we were to report on this story and only tell one side, that would be journalistic malpractice. We can't force someone to talk, but we always give both sides the opportunity to share their perspective. Several parents tell us this case is an example of investigators denying them that same opportunity. Meanwhile, students tell us they wish they were notified of Rose's status on the registry, but it's important to note there have not been any students who have publicly accused him of doing anything inappropriate while on campus.
Adam, have you gotten any indication on what will be next for law enforcement going forward?
Well, April, they could certainly reopen the case if they want to, but for more than a month, they've not responded to any of our questions, even though they did promise back in March to circle back once the investigation was complete. If you think all the way back to 2019, when Weber County Sheriff Ryan Arbin was elected, he was really preaching the importance of transparency, and he even gave this quote to the Standard Examiner. "We are going to discuss these issues no matter how big or small they are. We're all going to be a lot more connected and have a lot better communication in this office." Now, according to Chris Bertram, the Deputy Chief of Unified PD, who was part of our story, the best way to get these agencies to pay attention is to file a complaint, especially because both the sheriff and county attorney, Stephen Hadfield, are elected.
Well, we will see what happens as a result of all of this in your report as well. So thanks very much, Adam. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.